How did you meet Michael Jackson?
So, next thing we know, he's doing crazy stuff like dangling babies over balconies, and Bashir's filming it, and there's doctors around everywhere. It's all out of control. But this was not Michael Jackson. This was a Michael Jackson who was high as a kite on drugs.
Isn't there been 5 allegations of young boys come forward saying Michael has played with them?
You want to go down that rabbit hole?
Yeah, I want to find out. If there's 5 people coming forward and there's allegations coming out, there must be something there.
I'm glad there's got platforms like this where they don't get edited, because I say this on TV and then the final version doesn't ever get used. As I'm on the phone to Yuri, Mark Lester rings me up. Now when Mark called, my heart went. I thought, jeez. I said, it's not good, is it? Because now Michael's dead.
Who killed Michael Jackson? Matt, welcome to the show, mate.
It's great to be on, Dodge.
Yeah, very much looking forward to this one. Let's roll all the way back. Where did you grow up and how did you end up becoming Michael Jackson's bodyguard?
I grew up in a place called Swindon in Wiltshire, the south of the UK. And how did I end up becoming Michael Jackson's bodyguard? Well, there's a bit of, as you can imagine, a bit of a journey to get to that stage. But yeah, I mean, the long and short story is that, well, we'll do the shorter story, but I basically was being bullied at school, like a lot of people who go on to be successful entrepreneurs and do well for themselves. There's some kind of pain barrier that pushes them to go on and do well. And I had this school bully who was a bit of a nuisance. We're talking about like kicking me under the table, Dodge, kicking my shins, stealing my milk and all this type of stuff, which you laugh about now, don't you? He's actually a good friend of mine now. He's my anti-bully ambassador for my martial arts brand. And we met on national TV. But yeah, that pain from being at school, which I didn't feel served me whatsoever, led me to become a martial arts fanatic. Just at a time it was Taekwondo.
Yeah.
So at school I was being told what I can't do, mistakes I was being made, things I'm not good at. And then in the evenings I'll go to my martial arts class and I'm being told that, look, Matt, you're good at this. And I was already flexible. I could already do the splits and the high kicks, and I'm a tall guy, I got long legs. And yeah, I do believe a lot in genetics and stuff when it comes to if you want to be a champion or if you want to excel at genetics, it's a big part of that. Like I can never be an Arnold Schwarzenegger, but for the Taekwondo martial art involves a lot of kicking, and it was something that I was just good at for once. And wasn't my parents' ideal thing. My mum's one of 14 children. They all university graduates.
One of 14?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
From Ireland. One of 14. And they've all literally got university degrees, So that was kind of the path that we were hoping I would go down, because I was one of the oldest grandchildren, the third oldest grandchildren. And then my dad come from a get a trade background. So he worked at the Brunel Railway right back to my great-great-great-great-grandfather. So they assumed I'd become an electrician or a plumber or something like that. So when I said to them I wanted to become a martial arts instructor, they were absolutely horrified, to say the least.
Where did you take your journey then, personally? Apart from the business, setting on the business, what journey did you go on in martial arts?
I did everything. I was a Bruce Lee utter fanatic. I mean, back then we didn't have TVs. You're a similar age to me, I think. We didn't have TVs in our rooms or stuff like that. So it's like one TV in the household. So I used to get up early in the morning to watch the latest Jean-Claude Van Damme film at 4 a.m. before school, or watch Bruce Lee, when I wasn't supposed to be watching it because I was like 9, 10 or something, but it inspired me. But I studied everything from judo to jiu-jitsu, aikido, taekwondo, you name it. I did different styles of karate. But my love was taekwondo. I just loved kicking people in the head. Just loved it. I was good at it.
Yeah.
And I loved doing all the spinning kicks. And it was so, do you know what it was for me? It was the progression. I wasn't making any progress at school at all. From an early age, I knew school was a waste of time for me. There was nothing there I was going to learn that was going to benefit me that I could see. And I remember being in my mathematics class and they were teaching me one of the GCSE questions, which was actually ended up in the final GCSE paper, which is a secondary school qualification for those people who don't know, high school, which is how many different ways can you put 50p into a red phone box? which when we growing up, dodge, that was a thing. Now they're like museum pieces, aren't they?
That's right.
It's like 2 20p's and a 10, or 5 10p's. And I just thought, this is utterly ridiculous. And actually, in the exam paper for my GCSE exam, I wrote that. I put a stupid question next to it because I thought, how is this going to benefit me?
Yeah.
Well, I just knew from the age of like 12, 13, I wrote down a series of goals in my exercise book in my mathematics class that I want to be the most well-known martial arts instructor in the world. I want to be a millionaire by the time I was 20, have a Ferrari by the time I was 20, because I was growing up. One of my brothers was very academic and he studied car design. So there's always pictures of Ferraris all around his bedroom and so on. And it inspired me to be able to do that. And other things too, like I wanted to have a, 6-pack, big pecs, and do the side splits like Jean-Claude Van Damme, some of the silly stuff that martial artists will understand. And all of those goals came true. They all came true by the time I was 20.
By the time you're 20?
Yeah, I was done.
Hi guys, just giving you the quick heads up. We've just launched a new VIP membership on Patreon. This gives you exclusive episodes, behind the scenes footage never seen before, VIP community chat, and early access to all episodes. If you love what we do, for the sake of a cheeky pint a month, £5 a month, come and support the channel. It allows us to grow even bigger.
I was a millionaire by the time I was 19.
How did you get a millionaire before 19, 20?
Well, I didn't really have a lot of choice, Dodge, because left school with no qualifications whatsoever other than my martial arts black belts. And my parents called it legalized violence. My dad was quite aggressive about it. Like, you can't be doing this legalized violence. He didn't want it. My instructor let me train for free because he saw the potential in me. My grandfather, my dad's side, he took me into his shed and gave me a right telling off. So, Matthew, how are you going to make money out throwing your legs in the air? You can't do that. You need to be an electrician or a plumber. But that just motivated me, I think, because of the bullying background, to go, I want to do even more. So I moved away. I lived in Swindon. We have a thing, the tradition of the martial arts. I don't want to open up on my instructor's doorstep. It's disrespectful. Yeah. So I moved away to a town called Braunton in North Devon, near Barnstable. I mean, there's 10,000 people in this it's a village, Braunton is. Half of them are old people, retired. And I just put posters up. I was very good at doing a certain kick, a flying kick, which became my logo. I put posters up everywhere. I understood from a young age that you had to be aggressive to get in marketing, to get notes, get eyeballs on you. And I'd start my classes and then I'd collect the £3 in an ice cream container. And then I did that twice a week in Braunton. Then I worked at North Devon Leisure Centre as a lifeguard. It's the other qualification I had, for £2.75 an hour, which was painful. And I lived in a bedsit, £30 a week. And it was a painful journey. I got evicted from 3 bedsits. Couldn't afford the £30 a week.
Evicted for what?
For not paying the rent.
Okay.
Couldn't afford it. Christmas come round, my family did feel sorry for me, and they sent me hampers and food through for me. It was pretty painful, man. I was like, I got to make this thing work. It's actually my girlfriend at the time. She said, you keep talking about this martial arts thing and you've got all these goals. And she brought me like a briefcase as like a symbolic thing to, come on, get on with it. Stop messing around. Do something here. And you can call it law of attraction or whatever you want. But one of my training partners, a guy called Lee, he was in America and he just got back and he paged me. We sound like we're really old, I'm only 44, but paging was how I launched my business. So Matt, call me ASAP. So I went from the bedsit to the red phone box. I called him up and said, Lee, what's going on? So Matt, I've just come back from San Francisco. You wouldn't believe what's going on out there. You've got multi-millionaire martial arts business owners. But we have this funny thing that we will not compromise our standards for any amount of money. It's a bit like bodybuilders and the quality of their gym or the size of their muscles. They think if they're going to have bigger muscles, they're going to get more students. You're going to produce world champions, you're going to get more students. It doesn't work that way. So I said to Lee, I don't want to compromise my standards. He said, no, trust me, they got the standards and they got the money. So I saved up my £2.75 an hour from the lifeguarding, did a bit of extra casual work, and my £3 in the ice cream containers. And I had enough money to get a ticket to San Francisco. And I stayed in this rough place in San Francisco. And it's a 3-day conference. I had over 1,000 martial arts business owners from all over America. So America back then was safe to say we're like 20 years ahead of us.
So what are we talking here? We're talking early 2000s?
No, we're talking 97.
97, okay.
Yeah. And the owner of this conference, he's not a martial arts guy. He's a business guru, a guy called Nicholas Kokinas. And he was in his 80s. And I saw him in the lobby. It's the Hyatt Hotel. And I remember I was really young. I was like 17. And I approached him. I said, Mr. Kokinis, I've come from the UK to learn. Just want to introduce myself. And he was so impressed. He said, because America's different to the UK. UK, if you're successful, they stab you in the back. And in America, they want to sit down with you. They encourage you. And he said, really impressed you've approached me, because this guy was a multimillionaire. And he said, we might as well make you famous and the most successful person in this industry. So for him, it was like a case study.
Yeah.
So Mr. Kokinis took me under his wing and he mentored me personally. So I joined this organization, this business organization in the States. He said, study the 3 days of this information. Now, back then, there was no pitching, Dodge. If you go to events now, it's pitch, content pitch. It was just content information. We didn't even have the word content then. It was just networking and information. So I'd come back with all these notepads of information. And Mr. Kokinis said, look, some of it might work in England, some of it don't. We don't know. We've never tried before. It's like a little island. We're not even bothered about expanding there. So go and try it, Matt. And he told me to follow, I was there for 2 weeks. He told me to follow the most successful martial arts business owners there is in the States. So I was getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning and I was following them around America and studying what they do.
Looking back at Matt back then, explain the character you would say now.
I didn't know any different. You got to remember this, right? So I didn't know what a normal 18-year-old should be doing because my net circle of friends was not 18-year-olds. I was mixing with the guys I met in America. They wanted to better themselves and become multi-millionaires. So what you would see is a guy who is ridiculously tuned in to trying to keep in 99.9% perfect shape. I would go to the gym relentlessly, even if it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, training like a nutcase. I've got pictures of me training back then. I look at it and think, what did I put myself through? Driving a Ferrari 355 Spider.
You bought yourself a Ferrari?
Yeah, it was part of my goals. Do you remember? My maths class.
What colour?
Red one. Had to be red, didn't it? And it's funny, I just bought my wife one for Christmas and it's exactly the same store and the same staff remembered me when I walked in. And they tell that story to all their staff all the time. And Matt Fiddes walked in when he was like 18, 19. And we just thought he wanted a picture of a car and he walked out with a...
Oh, do you remember what you paid back then?
Yeah, I kicked myself. And I think I paid 120, but I sold the damn thing for about 36,000. Now it's worth 200,000. Yeah.
What made you want to go and get a red? What made you want to go and get a red Ferrari at the age of 18? I'd be looking around thinking people are going to think I'm a plum. Like, were you thinking that, or were you just like, no, I don't care. I've earned it. I don't care. Especially being in like Devon, Barnstable. If you were in London, I guess you could blend in a bit more. But you're in Devon.
I was the only Ferrari there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. Do you know the funny thing is, Dodge? Right, I used to always be upset with the public. I said, why is Barnstable always giving me a hard time? I don't understand. I've got thousands of members here now. So I went and did 5 schools. So you got Barnstable, you got Braunton, Ilfracombe, Bideford, South Molton, Torrington. I did all those locations.
So you scaled up from that one, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I thought I was on a lucky thing, but then I was on a lucky thing. So I pretty much own North Devon's martial arts thing. Yeah. I've been gossiped about, talked about. But what I couldn't understand is the hate. People graffitiing, kill Matt Fiddes. Because we didn't have the internet back then. We had MySpace, or we had blogs who were talking about me. I couldn't understand it. I look back now and I get it. I'm driving around in a brand new Ferrari 355 Spider in the winter with my top off, oiled up, with a Durotan, hair down, permed, and my best mate's a Uri Geller, Michael Jackson, and everyone wonders why they can't relate to me. You know,
mate. So how did you go from that then? How did you meet Michael Jackson, and at what age did you meet him?
So I was in the reception of my main martial arts school. So the Barnstable one was like the hub where all the staff would meet up and then we'd do staff training and then I'd go off to their locations each evening. One of the parents was a guy called Nick Constable. I need to look him up, actually. I'll keep talking about him recently, see how he's doing. If it weren't for him, none of this would have happened. He came up to me. He said, hi, Matt. I've got a daughter and a son who trains with you. I'm a reporter for an agency called Southwest News Agency. I distribute stories. Do you mind if I do a story on you? I knew you were bullied at school and you got no qualifications. Everyone was against you. They all knew my story because the local paper featured it. And take some pictures of you in the car. I said, yeah. Because when you ask the question here, why did I go and get the Ferrari? Why did I want a body like that? Because I wanted to prove everyone wrong. My bully, my parents, my grandparents, my family. I wanted to have it all: the body, the shape, the car. What could really upset people the most? And that's the art. If being successful, you do upset a lot of people on the way. It's egotistical, symbolic reasons to help fulfill my painful childhood for being told you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Looking back now, I realise it's probably one of the stupidest things I've done, and it would have upset a lot of people. But at the same time, I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't be who I am now.
Yeah.
So this reporter interviews me, takes me right back to being bullied at school, secondary school, no qualifications, parents don't want nothing to do with me. That's why I was in the bed sit, didn't want anything to do with me. And
why did your parents didn't want anything to do with you?
They wanted me to be a vet, or a doctor. They wanted to follow the family tradition. There's only one person in my family who was for it, which is interesting. It was my grandfather, called Sean Norris. So he had the 14 children, my mum's dad.
Yeah.
Now, Sean Norris was 7 times Irish weightlifting champion, and he got picked for the Rome Olympics in 1960. So out of all those 14 kids, he used to tell me he hopes one of them would have that athletic drive to be like him. And he trained me. I was very lucky, like from 13 on to 18, he was my mentor from the training side. So he took me under his wing, which was interesting because my other cousins, they got it hard. He's a very religious man from Ireland. So that's the way he's been brought up. I didn't get any of that from him. I had special treatment from him because he saw in me something in himself. Yeah. So he took me under his guidance to go out there. He believed in me. So it was only my granddad who actually thought you could do something with this. Do you know what? The truth is, my parents never actually came to watch me train, watch me take part in a class. Never. But my grandfather would get on the bus and he would come and watch. I still have vivid memories of that now.
Did you used to fight? Did you used to go back and find your bullies?
Yeah, well, we did on the media. We will get to that part. I always used to think it in my head. Actually, there's one funny story before we forget about it. So everyone likes a Mackie D every now and then, don't they? But I went to McDonald's in Swindon, and it was a lovely sunny day. I had the Ferrari's, the roof down, the 355, and I go through to the drive-through, and one of the bullies, not the main catalyst, but one of them secondary school, handed me my healthy meal while I was in my Ferrari 355, and I was staring at him, and he's like, "How the heck did that happen?" Yeah. That was the biggest FU moment you could imagine, you know.
Were you a fighting man?
No,
how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4". So you're a big, strong man. But when you were going there, were you a fighting man? Going, you know what? If you can start on me, we'll deal with this. Or were you just concentrating on your mixed martial arts and building your business?
Well, one thing that my particular martial arts instructor always taught me is that if I got into fights and stuff that were not part of a championships, then I'll be out.
Yeah, okay.
So
it comes down to discipline, doesn't it?
It comes down to discipline, Dodge. And then later in my life, where I become a lot more known, if I was in a place when I was going to be attacked, then the world's so crazy now, I'd probably have to take a bit of a beating. Because the way the world is, they'd love to put Matt Fiddes in jail for beating someone up, but throw the towel at me. Because I should know how to recognise and avoid situations. Obviously, it's my family members, it'd be very, very different. And that's actually happened before in certain places. But
so where did you meet Michael Jackson then?
Okay, so this reporter, he did the story. Nothing happened. I thought it'd be for the local newspaper. Went away. Didn't think much of it. 3 or 4 days later, landlines were ringing off the hook, like proper. You remember, this was back in 98. This is when mainstream media was 20 million copies per day for each edition of each Daily Mail and Sun and Star. It was mad. What's going on? I can't understand it. Turns out I'm on the front page of every single tabloid and broadsheet. Bully boy becomes millionaire. Had a picture of me when I was vulnerable and young, 7 years old. Picture of me doing a punch and a picture of me in my car. And it tells my whole story. Now, what happens on the back of that, when you get that kind of media attention, researchers of TV programs, they go through the newspapers or social media nowadays, and they look for good stories. So I went on TV shows like Trisha, which had 20 million, 30 million viewers, morning TV show, Esther Ramson, Kilroy, Richard and Judy, and it just blew up. I became the most well-known martial arts guy in the UK. It was making all this money, and no one could understand it, especially my peers in the industry, because I was the first guy to commercialize martial arts, thinking, what's he doing? He can't do that. He can't be making millions out of martial arts. You're not supposed to do that. So I had an awful lot of hate too. But a guy was watching me on Esther Ramson's show, and it was Uri Geller. And Uri Geller is more famous in the UK for bending spoons and stuff, but all around the world, he's super famous. A bit like the Tony Robbins, he only believes you only use 10% of your mind, and you can access different areas.
Is that what he's known for, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's like Tony's got the fire walk, Uri Geller's got the spoon bending, right?
Okay.
But behind that, he's published like 60 international books in different languages. He's a Pokemon card from Nintendo. He's world famous. So he wanted to meet me, and he wanted to make a series of videos where he would do positive mindset to stop bullying, because bullying was a massive problem back then. And I would do the physical moves. And we're going to distribute it to kids all over the UK free of charge on VHS. We didn't get around to doing that video. We did a fitness-based one where he did motivational mind stuff, and I did like kickbox aerobics. And that went to #1. It was huge all around Asia and so on. We became very close friends. And people might not know this, but he's extremely successful, like super wealthy. His house, like a £20 million replica of the White House in Sonderland-Thames, next to George Clooney's home. So being around that environment all the time was very motivating for me. Became close friends. He's godfather to my oldest daughter, Madison. And when I go to see him, it'd always end with a walk. He always believed in walking 2 hours a day along the River Thames and around his land. And phone calls would come in from very famous people, like royalty and presidents and so forth. But I've never heard any phone calls from Michael Jackson or no one. So nor would I even think be looking for that. Then I went back to Barnstable one day, and Uri Geller would ring you at unusual times of the day. A lot of these big stars do, because they got companies in Australia. They need to stay awake for TV shows. So I had a phone call coming at 3 a.m. on a landline. He said to me, Matt, you got to come to my house now. And if you don't, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I can't tell you why. I said, Uri, you need to tell me why. What am I supposed to tell my overhead? Who's over? I have half of his bed over there. Said, I've not put you wrong so far. I love you. Bye. Put the phone down. And I looked at my missus and I thought, jeez, this is going to be a massive argument, man. I get in the car. But he's property mad. He's teaching me all the time, stop buying these Ferraris, buy houses. And he made me buy 5 houses per month. And I hated him for it. I love him for it now. I drove to his home, gates opened up, it was about 6:30 in the morning, and went down to his driveway. There's no real signal. There's 3 black SUVs outside. And I walk in the living room, and this frail guy walks up to me, and he bows, and he goes, hi, Master Fiddes. My name's Michael Jackson. Pleased to meet you, sir. And they go, know who you are. What the heck are you doing here? Yeah. And back then, Dodge, I thought there was a lot of prank TV shows around.
Right,
and I was in the limelight then. So I thought, Yuri's stitching me up.
You thought like Jeremy Beadle would be hiding around the corner or something.
Yeah, there's like candid camera and all this type of thing. And after a few minutes, I realized this guy was the real deal.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to do a deal with you, Matt. I said, what's that? I'll teach you the moonwalk if you teach me how to break boards. And it turned out he was already a black belt. So his dad, Joseph Jackson, made sure all the Jackson 5, because they're famous for so young, they studied martial arts. They studied Kung Fu. And he wanted to go to 2nd degree black belt, along with his best friend, Mark Lester, who played the original Oliver Twist. Yeah. And funny enough, they're dodging that, don't they?
They do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was the plan. So that's why he wanted to meet me. But we just hit it off. We became good buddies, good friends, and we stayed up for like 3 days, and we're laughing and joking. And I took him around Reading in my car, in my convertible, and people just thought it was a lookalike. He would come and stay with me in Barnstable. People thought it was a lookalike. And who's going to believe an 18-year-old hanging around with a megastar like that, you know? And he kind of felt secure with me too because of the martial arts side of it. I could tell early on he had bigger plans, that things were not good in his camp. He lost his long-term bodyguards, and he was having these like temp bodyguards. It cost him about $150,000 a month, he told me, and he couldn't answer his phone around him and stuff like that. He was finding it hard. So me being a nice guy, I said, look, Michael, I'll take over your personal protection for free.
For free?
For free. I didn't need the money.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason it worked.
Okay, yeah.
I very much believe in non-transactional relationships. As soon as you monetize things, it can become an issue. And I think that's why I stayed the full 10 years as his mate.
Yeah.
And he jumped at it, he just jumped at it. Plus, I supplied my family, my brother-in-law, and one of my brothers, and I got access to all this team of instructors. So So I said, wherever you are in the world, just give me a buzz and I will make it happen. He took it a little bit too, I didn't mean it like whatever he's doing, but...
Did he instantly like you straight away, do you think?
No, only because Uri Geller
Yeah.
told him, you could trust this guy.
Yeah, okay.
He's a millionaire.
Yeah.
He ain't nothing from you. Uri let me in his world.
Yeah. How come they let you in so easily and so quickly? Someone like Uri, and then all of a sudden you're meeting Michael Jackson, and then what was going through your mind? You must be thinking, hold on a minute, I'm meeting Michael Jackson here. This is mad.
Well, what's going through my mind is how the hell am I going to go home to Barnstable
and explain to
and tell everyone what I've done at the weekend?
Yeah.
And no one was going to help me.
Yeah.
I was like, Uri, how do I explain? What do I tell my brothers? What do I tell my mum and dad? What do I say? You can't tell no one anything. So I can't. I can't even tell them the truth because they think I'm flipping lost the plot, So this secret went on for, I don't know, maybe a year. And in the end, I said to Micheal, we were in New York, I said, Mike, you got to help me out. I can't keep lying to everyone where I am. So I just told them you're friends with Michael Jackson. I said, I can't. They'll think I'm crazy. I'm in Barnstable. You've got no idea. There's 30,000 people that live there. They hate me enough as it is because of me Ferrari, my perm hair. They don't get it. I'm not from Barnstable.
Yeah.
I'm from Swindon. They don't like that either at the time. It's funny, when I go back now, they love me. They shake my hand. Oh, Matt, you put Barnstable on the map.
Yeah.
Back then, they wanted to kill me. And he got it. He said, I got a book launch to go to soon. Why don't you come along with me? And that was it. Me and him went to this book launch. And back then, I was like 20 stone in London. And it's for a friend of ours. And we turned up unannounced. Paparazzi were just outside the hotel anyway. And because I'm the big guy, I was 20 stone of muscle back then, my arm around him, protecting my mate, who was quite vulnerable. And that was it then. It was everywhere. I was pictured everywhere. Yeah. The unofficial bodyguard, and then the bodyguard. And funny, because he used to say to me, if you're going to be my friend, your life will never be the same again. I never really believed much of it, Dodge, but when he passed away, he used to irritate me. I had counselling over the fact that whenever people write about me now, they put Michael Jackson's bodyguard. When he was alive, it was Matt, the martial arts guru, or martial arts businessman, But when he passed away, it became bodyguard. And I had to learn to live on, I understand how it works. Now I'm good friends with Elvis Presley's bodyguard. He had the same problem. You just got to learn to live with it. But he warned me that would happen.
What was Michael Jackson like as a bloke?
Nothing like the media portrays him. A lovely guy and very humble, very sweet, naive, do anything for you. And that was also his biggest problem, is that he was too nice. Whereas if you take some of his other brothers, like if you take Jermaine won't take no messing around. Jermaine's tough, right? Yeah. Jermaine apparently went face to face with Steven Seagal once because Steven Seagal said something about his brother Michael. It was at a movie premiere. And Jermaine said to me, he said, I rolled my fist up and I was staring at Steven in the face. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. But people like Jermaine and Tito, they're different. They're tougher. Whereas Michael was very sensitive guy for this mega stardom that he had.
Were you around when he was having, was he having any death threats? Was there any trouble?
Every single day.
He was there?
Yeah, every day. Not like you do now where it's just like an Instagram thing or something. Yeah. No, it's like notes under the door. Yeah, we're going to kidnap your kids. £1 million ransom. If one of the newspapers at the time were offering us all the time £1 million, we can get a picture of his children unmasked. We used to put masks on them so they can have a normal life and go to the playground and play with normal kids without their dad turning it into a chaos scene of fans everywhere and paparazzi turning up. Yeah, every day there'll be something. And he used to test us with that too. Michael used to test our loyalty. He's very clever with that.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he manipulative?
He wasn't manipulative, but he knew no different than being Michael Jackson. So I was struck with my rehearsal marriage, my first marriage. We were struggling to make it work, like 8 years in. And maybe partly the reason was because I was working too hard. I had 3 amazing kids, beautiful daughters. And we decided to go to, where do we go, Lanzarote or Tenerife, somewhere like that, Canary Islands, to try and repair the marriage. And 2 days in, Michael calls me and says, I'm in New York, I'm coming to England, I need you to pick me up from Terminal 5. And I said, Michael, I can't. I mean, I'm trying to save my marriage here, man. But he's not used to people saying no to him, you know? So I didn't want to say no to him because I knew there's no one else he could trust. There's nobody. It's a very small inner circle. He'd already booked his Concorde flight he had back then, and he was coming in. So I said to my ex-wife, I said, hey, Marcia, I need to go back. Michael's coming to London. He needs me. It's important. And that didn't go down well. And then straight away, I came up with this idea that there'd be no flights available. So I had a quick look, and it looked quite difficult to get a flight back to England. So I called Michael back up. So, Michael, I can't come. There's no flights. I'll sort that out for you. He's Michael Jackson. I think you can do anything you want. So he sorted out the airplane, and he got me back and picked him up from the airport. My wife went back to Barnstable, and I lived with him for a couple of weeks at a hotel in London, a room office suite. He felt a bit guilty a few days in, because I said to him, you do realise that I was trying to repair my marriage then. You just disrupted the whole damn thing. And he called Marcia up, and he invited her and the kids to come and stay in a hotel suite, and took them shopping to Hamleys and stuff like that. But
there's loads and loads of stories about him. Was he gay?
No, he wanted you to think whatever you thought. He was brainwashed by Motown Records at 5 years old that you mustn't ever get married. You mustn't ever show your sexuality, be gay or straight, because you'll kill your fan base. It's like an old school thinking.
Yeah.
That's the way Motown brought them up. So when Tito Jackson got married, he was the first of the Jackson 5 to get married. Michael was crying all the time and was angry with Tito. And then Jermaine got married, and he thought that was the end of the Jacksons, the end of the Jackson 5. So he kept this protective barrier around him to not let anyone in. Obviously, he's public where he's married to Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis's daughter. And
did he do that for show to marry Elvis Presley's daughter, or was that genuine love?
Absolutely,
it was.
Yeah, I mean, my best mate was the same age as his, and it's his best mate. And yeah, I mean, I don't know the best way to say it, but he used to. When you stay with Michael, you have these big presidential suites, and you have rooms off his living room, and yeah, you'd be awake all night hearing, them at it. Hee hee, yeah. That's what I used to say to Michael. If you guys have a baby, man, I'd be like, hee hee, It'd be more incredible. But no, that era, Mark Lester was around, and it was proper marriage. It was proper. It's the only person he could relate to if you think about it.
What, just through so much fame?
Yeah, she knew how her dad's life was, Elvis, and Michael knew he could trust her, and right until his death, she was always on the phone.
Was she?
Always.
Give me an example of being a bodyguard for Michael. This sort of the craziness that you come across, like the crazy fans. Did you used to carry a gun with you? Did you, what were you keeping an eye out? Did you have earpieces in? Just give me an overview of what it would be like.
Yeah, it depends what we're doing. So if we're here on a private visit, then it will just be me, him, and one other. And then my brother-in-law, Craig, used to come and stand by, because it wasn't a normal bodyguard relationship. So I was his mate. So I'd be inside the room with him. When we talk about room, hotel suites, like 10, 20,000 pound a night hotel suites. So Craig, my brother-in-law, used to be outside, and he would stay up all night, making sure the public or the fans would get to us while we were sleeping. It was, to be honest, Dodge, it was boring.
Yeah,
because we couldn't do much.
Yeah,
and when we did, it was a complete chaos scene. So there's loads of footage of me and him out there over the years. I mean, one time he came into my room and he said, I want to go to HMV, the record store on Oxford Street. I said, do you want us to arrange it late at night so we can shut it down for you? He said, no, let's just go. I said, okay. I said, I'd be interested. He wanted to check if his music was being distributed by Sony. He had a bit of a dispute with them. So we turn up, just me, him, and one other bodyguard. I got this on tape. And all he wanted to do was go to the Michael Jackson section.
Just to have a look.
To check if all his albums were there.
Yeah.
So we walked in fast and up the escalator. We get to the Michael Jackson section. There's all these people like going through Thriller and Dangerous, and they're like, and he goes, hi, to them all. And he was just checking they're all there. And then within like 5 minutes, all the escalators were shut down. All the people on the tills, the staff there, all bombed Michael to try and touch him, get a picture. And then we heard that the police were coming and Oxford Street had been shut down. And could we please move with Mr. Jackson to the fire exit at the back of HMV? And we sat out on the fire exit. I got pictures of that somewhere too. Michael was like this for 2.5 hours while the police helped us get out. Yeah, it was mental. It was like crazy. But...
And what about his white glove? And what about his sort of plasters on his hands and stuff? Was that all for show?
That's what he wanted to say.
Okay.
He used to say to me, Matt, if you want people to be interested in you, you have to be interested. So he was putting that tape on one day, and it was taking hours. We were really late for this meeting. And I said, Michael, why you got sticky tape plasters on your fingers for? He goes, that's why. So people stay curious. I stay relevant. And one time too, I was very conscious about, obviously I used to read stories, Dodge, about this nose falling off business, right? I couldn't understand it because the Michael I knew behind the doors, he looked normal. Of course he's had surgery done, but if you took everyone out of Hollywood who's not had surgery done, there wouldn't be anyone left.
But did you, when you were with him, just so the viewers to know, was he black or white at that time?
So he had a skin condition, which is now, can finally say, it's been confirmed, it's been banging on for years by the coroner for he did his autopsy. Michael Jackson has a skin condition called vitiligo. So not all of his body was patchy. He used to call himself a spotted cow.
Yeah.
So he didn't bother colouring his legs or nothing like that. But it's always a work in progress. He'd have blotches appear. It's not in the Thriller era. They tried to cover it with makeup, but for a guy who's a black guy, it was difficult. And it got to the stage in the end where he's dancing and sweating on stage. He had to make a decision. So he decided to cover it with easier makeup, white makeup. But no, his legs and stuff are all, you should call it spotted cow. That was yeah. I used to hate it. He used to tell me one of his greatest loves, like water parks and stuff like that. Couldn't do that anymore. And wherever the sunlight, you all see pictures of me with an umbrella over his head.
Yeah.
Because he's so prone to skin cancer. Vitiligo takes your pigment out of your skin.
Are you saying he got that skin cancer, the reason why?
No, he's prone to skin cancer.
Okay. But how come he changed? What phase were you at when he was changing or had completely changed?
Okay, so we have this thing, me and Mark. So Mark goes back right until the off the wall era.
And who's Mark?
Mark Lester's Oliver Twist.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Black Beauty, all those big hits.
Yeah.
So they're both the same age, grew up together, read about each other in magazines. So whenever I want to know anything about Black Michael, I will speak to Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back
Yeah.
to Mark about those type of things. I only knew him when he was, as you would remember him, basically. But yeah, all this plastic surgery stuff, he went to great effort to make himself look a lot worse because he wanted to make the media coverage.
Are you sure, though? I'm sure you don't want to make yourself look worse. Are you sure he's not spent so much money, that they've spent so much work in him, that he might have got addicted to it, that his face has gone pointy? It was just very odd.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a story that will show you some context behind it. Is that when we were in London one time, I don't know if it doesn't happen anymore, but every day the newspapers used to get pushed under your hotel suite, every single edition of every newspaper. And America would call me, his PA would call me, say, Matt, can you go to the Mail or the Sun and take pages 9 to 12 out? Because it's negative about Mr. Jackson. And I would sneak in out of my room, take them out. Michael used to get up late anyway, 2:00 in the afternoon, and leave the papers there for him to read. He used to like keeping up to date with information in the world, current news stories. That Saturday, this was on like a Tuesday or something. I did it every day of the week. That Saturday night, we went for dinner at Muhammad Al Fayed's house in Oxted. And we sat by the fire. Michael comes, he likes to sit next to the fire, sat next to me, and there was newspapers there. And I said, Michael, look, you're in, he did Men in Black 2. So your paparazzi pictures there for you doing Men in Black 2 with Will Smith. Yes, yeah. I like seeing stuff about myself, Matt. And he whispered in my ear and he said, Matt, when I get a newspaper, I know it don't jump from pages 9 to 12. I like to read my own stories that I plan. And I thought, wow, you're behind all that stuff. So he was behind it all.
Yeah.
He would generate it.
So he knew what was going on the whole time.
He was the man who would manipulate it. He used to say to, one time he came out in the early days, my ex-wife was terrible for it. He used to stare at his nose, you know. And I was like, stop staring at his nose. But he came out of the hotel room.
Do you know, just to hold you there, just the nose thing.
Yeah.
He went from a nose that was a lot wider to a nose that become really pointy.
Yeah.
What was he thinking?
Well, he was bullied a lot by people around him from a young kid, and he would say his dad too. And it was something that would get to him. So he did break his nose, and he took it as an opportunity to improve it, and then obviously he liked the result and he carried on. I never really spoke to him about his surgery, Dodge, because in my era there was no surgery. He didn't do anything. Yeah. You know, nothing at all. Like now you could talk about Botox and everything. Back then you couldn't even talk about it. But he came out of his room one day and he had all this sticky tape on his freaking nose. I was like, so we're going to see Kofi Annan, United Nations, to talk about some project to heal the world. And it's embarrassing. You remember, Michael was my mate. You know, I wasn't an employee of it or nothing. And I was staring at his nose, like, are you serious? And he's conscious of it. He said, Matt, don't worry, this is just allergy tape. And it will guarantee me billions of dollars of publicity over the next few days. It will satisfy the fuzzle dozzle waiting for me out there. I'm okay. My nose is not falling off. It's just makeup and allergy tape. Okay, you clever dude. Went out there, and then next few days, front pages everywhere. Michael Jackson's nose falling off, and it was just allergy tape.
How mad is it you being like mates with the biggest name on the planet at the time?
It wasn't back then. It was quite normal. But now I look back, I get it. Yeah, it was. Well, I was part of this. It wasn't so much Michael. You call it mastermind nowadays. We call it network. But the network I was around, sitting dinner tables with Daryl Hannah and David Blaine, you know, and Michael Jackson and Britney Spears, and that was my weekends. The phone calls used to come in to me in Barnstable. I used to walk around on my hands free, walking around Tesco's with these superstars on the phone, thinking, this ain't normal, is it?
So what years are we talking here? We're talking late 90s still?
Yeah, 98 to 2009 was the crazy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that time, was there a lot of allegations?
Yeah.
Was Michael Jackson a kiddie fiddler?
Okay. So back in 1993, obviously I was at school then, there was a big famous allegation from a guy called Jordan Chandler, a young boy. And the parents filed it. They didn't file a criminal case, they filed a civil case, which is interesting if you think about it. I don't know if you've got kids, Dodge. You got kids? Yeah. I got 6 kids, right? So I don't know about you. Someone was fiddling my kids, I want them hung, battered up,
of course,
killed. I would not want them, I would not sue for money. So Michael was in the middle of a tour called Dangerous, halfway through the tour. Billions and billions of pounds invested, lots of staff on there, 2 jumbo jets of equipment going around there. And he was struggling to cope with this allegations. So it was took out of his hands. Michael wanted to fight the allegation, but there was a problem. The boy would not file a criminal case. The parents would not file a criminal. All they wanted was money. So first of all, the Chandlers approached, that's the surname.
Geordie Chandler.
Geordie Chandler. Yeah. Avon Chandler. The dad approached Michael, wanted him to fund a movie. And Michael didn't want to do it. He said, no, I don't want to fund movies and stuff. And then there's a recording somewhere out there saying, if I go through with this, I'm going to get Michael Jackson big time. It's so strange. I'm glad there's got platforms like this where it don't get edited. Because I say this on TV and then the final version doesn't ever get used. But there's actually a recording there saying, I'm going to blackmail this guy. I'm going to get him. And if I go through this, I've got Michael Jackson big time. And he went through with it. Now, the truth is, Michael Jackson did not pay this lad 20 million, whatever. His insurance company gave him no damn choice. He signed all kinds of paperwork and contracts while he's on tour. And to them, got this $1 billion tour all set up. And they need him back on the road again. A lot of paying, and you've got this 20 million issue here, which he's insured against. Trials get settled all the time. Sorry, court cases get settled all the time. 90% of them don't go to trial. Most of them settle on the eve of the trial. Michael was persistent in saying, no. Forget the tour. Tell him to file a criminal case. I want to go to court. But there was no way of making this family do the criminal case. So the insurance company said, sorry, Mr. Jackson, we're going to sort this out and you'll get him back on the road.
Right. Okay.
That's the truth to it.
Okay.
Now that opened up a can of worms because then everyone thought, hang on a minute. This is an easy target here. That lad's got 20 million. So in 2005, the trial happened then. I knew this.
Hold on. So from 93, this went on.
93.
And then you're going to 2005.
Nothing happened since then.
So there's nothing in between.
Nothing. And bear in mind, over 10,000 children get put into Neverland because he built Neverland for Make-A-Wish Foundation.
So just for the listeners and viewers out there, explain what Neverland. Have you been to Neverland?
Many times.
Yeah. Explain what Neverland is like.
It's like a recreation of Disney World, and then you have his home, which is adjacent to it. So it's not connected to it. You can't just help yourself. You've got a train station there, you've got a zoo there, museum, your own theatre, and so forth. But yeah, it was.
And why?
Pretty damn awesome. It's his own world. The guy couldn't do nothing. Can't do anything. Even when he was there, Dodge, right? I feel sorry for Mike because when he used to go and walk outside, I realised that we had security following us. And I said to Michael, why don't you just tell those guys to leave you alone? You're at home. So the trouble is, Matt, this ranch is like thousands of acres and people parachute in and they say they've done it by accident, but they're trying to meet me. And one of them could have a gun or a knife or something. I was like, okay, he didn't even have privacy in his own home. And they go on about this sex abuse room. What a joke. So Michael Jackson's bedroom is like a mansion. It's the only place that guy's got any peace and quiet to himself. If someone breaks the boundaries of Neverland, the head of security at Neverland would hit a button, and Michael would have to run like hell, wherever he is on the ranch, into the panic room. I've got a lot of, I won't name them, to be fair, but I've got a lot of celebrity friends, A-list friends, billionaire friends. They've all got panic rooms. And it's set up so that it's hidden away, and you're in there and you've got enough there to survive for a couple of days or so until the whole ranch or premises can be searched and you can let your person out, who you're protecting. So many times people would parachute or break the boundaries into Neverland. The fans would do anything to get to him. And he would have to spend hours in this panic room, which is just off his bedroom. That was built before he bought Neverland. It was called Sycamore Valley back then. He filmed a music video with Paul McCartney called Say, Say, Say. And he liked it, the peace and quiet. It's up in the mountains, it's miles from anywhere. It's like a 3-hour drive to Los Angeles. So he kitted that out with all the stuff that he would like games and stuff, because he knew he'd have to spend some time in there. It was inevitable someone was going to breach the boundaries. So when you hear all these stories where people say, oh, kids have slept in his bed, or they've been in his bedroom, I mean, give me a break, man. I mean, it was just young boys and a load of complete utter nonsense. Michael Jackson didn't have a problem with young boys. He had a problem with women. The guy loved women. My biggest problem, me and Mark Lester and everyone around him, was trying to sneak women in and out, not breaking his image. He loved women. Women throw himself at him. Tito Jackson, he said it publicly now too, with Nigel Farage. He said, you want to test if my brother is gay or if my brother likes little boys, you go and send your wife or girlfriend to Neverland with my brother Michael for a day. See what happens. She won't come back. You'll charm him. That guy, he just had to live and breathe being Michael Jackson. And now it's backfired in the social media age.
So was he taking young boys to his bedroom?
No.
So when you were at Neverland, you never saw him taking boys to his bedroom?
No. So when you're at Neverland, you have, first of all, let's put into context. You've got 150 security staff, okay? Cameras everywhere watching everything you go. And Michael's bedroom is on 2 floors, 2 bathrooms, jacuzzi, arcade games. It's kitted out. It's just, like I said, it's the only place he doesn't need security. That's there. When you walk up the people, they can make a big deal out of this, but I could name him, but I won't. So I haven't got his permission. But there's not a big superstar. There's a long corridor to get to his bedroom quarters, and you walk over like a security mat, and it triggers alarm. So Michael knows someone's approaching, just to be on guard and be careful, just in case he needs to go to that panic room. Now there's a lot of Jacksons, and male and female, and they gravitate towards Michael. So when people go on about young boys, I've got over 100 hours of footage, Dodge. In fact, I'll give you some for this episode so you can get it out there. I've got over 100 hours of footage where young girls are sat on his lap. People gravitate to him. He's the biggest star in the world. His nieces, his nephews will always gravitate towards him. He felt like he could trust kids because kids weren't asking questions like, when's your next album coming out? Fiddes good. Can you teach me this? Can you teach me that? They didn't want money. Kids and animals he could trust. And it wasn't just kids in the bedroom. It would be his older nephews and so on, and people. It'd be friends of mine who've been there with him, you know? My children have spent time with him. It's complete nonsense. So when he talks about in his bedroom, a lot of this stems from the Martin Bashir Stitch Up program.
When was that? That was 2002?
2002, he filmed it. 2003 is when it came out. Yeah.
And he said Martin Bashir interviewed him and asked him if he's had kids in the bedroom.
Yeah, Martin Bashir did more than that. But let me just take that back a bit. So Michael wanted to finally get out the truth about his private life. He understood finally that there's this big miscommunication between his reality and world and what people thought of him. People had drummed it into his head. He realized that he needed to get, especially a message out there, stop all the hiding the image. You know, who is the real Michael behind doors where he just puts jeans on, a t-shirt on, drinks some whiskey and dances around. That's Michael we knew. Yeah. He knew he had to get out. So he was looking for documentary makers. Now, the most famous go-to person for Michael Jackson at the time was Uri Geller.
Yep.
His best mate. Michael Jackson was best man at Uri's wedding. I was there. I was responsible for getting him there and looking after him on the day. So Uri put the word out. We had 3 people who really wanted this documentary. We had Louis Theroux from the BBC, He was desperate for it. He actually went on to make one and try and find Michael, but couldn't in the end. We had Sir David Frost. Now, Michael Jackson had met Sir David Frost a couple of times. Like one time at Uri Geller's wedding in Reading. And we had this guy called Martin Bashir. We didn't think much of it. We thought Sir David Frost would be the man to go with. Very trustworthy man, lovely bloke, did a good job, never been a controversial, very good friends of Uri. So we had these three people. So Uri said to Michael, got Sir David Frost, we've got Louis Theroux, and we've got Martin Bashir. He goes, Martin Bashir? Yeah, the guy who did Princess Diana, said, I want to see him. And that was the downfall. So Uri said, I recommend you see Sir David Frost too. He goes, okay, maybe after Martin Bashir, I'll see Sir David Frost. Louis Theroux, bless him, he didn't even get a look in. He's actually pushing little notes of smiley faces underneath saying, please, Michael, can I have an interview? He tried everything to convince my brother-in-law to get access to him. He did it without Michael in the end. Yeah. So anyway, we go to, it was a Wednesday afternoon at the Renaissance Hotel, Higher Holborn. And this guy turns up in the lobby, Martin Bashir. I'll go down and meet him. Uri was there too. We introduced him to Michael upstairs in the hotel suite. We sit down. Michael wanted me to sit down and get my opinion on it as his mate. And there's two of us in the room with him. Bashir pitched Michael on, I am going to do the most incredible documentary about your life. It's talking about the music, about your dance, how you make records, your concert tours. We're going to clear up all these rumors about your relationship, your girlfriends. We're going to interview your girlfriends. They've actually gone and published books, some of these girlfriends are. And it was music to his ears, but he was still a bit suspicious. He was very paranoid, Michael was. Then Martin Bashir, and I've been telling this story for so many years. Now it's fact and it's out there. It's great. He gets out this crumpled letter from Princess Diana. And it's handwritten. It said, hi, Martin, thank you for changing my image. You've turned it around. I trusted you and look what's happened. The public adore me. Thank you so much. I love you, Diana. Michael read that. He was sold because he was best friends with Princess Diana. Yeah. That was it. So that was the end of it. So at that point, he said, okay, deal, done, shook his hand. And Uri was like, do you want to meet anyone else? No, I want to go with Princess Diana guy. Me and Uri Geller left the room thinking that Michael Jackson, being the big corporation he is, would tie Bashir up into all these legal documents and there won't be an issue. But that's not how the Michael Jackson camp worked back then. So we left him to it. Next thing we know, he's filming and he's doing crazy stuff like dangling babies over balconies, and Bashir's filming it and stuff. And there's doctors around everywhere. And it's all out of control and wondering what on earth's going on. But yeah, long story short, Bashir, and I know this because I got friends who were there at the time. So going back to that documentary, the hit piece, Bashir would say, oh, why don't you sit next to that boy? Michael, get yourself a little closer. You got nothing to hide. Why don't you hold his hand? That's good. Let's talk about sleeping. You sleep in his bed, don't you? And the boy said, no, he doesn't sleep in the bed. He sleeps on the floor. Then he edit that bit out. And then Michael said, no, I sleep on the floor, not on the bed. And everything was manipulated around it. And like the bird-in scene with the baby dangling. The flipping doctor gave him something. The doctor, I was there. I was in the living room with Mark Lester at the time. The doctor gave him something. He was hyper. He was completely off his head. He just like something he would have to normally go and dance with. I believe it was called ephedrine. He gave him some kind of drug. He was not himself at all. And he's shown Prince up to the fans. He's shown Paris and he's shown Blanket to the fans, came back, shut the doors. And then before we knew it, America was ringing us saying, you need to up your game now because the world media is saying they put his baby at risk. And no one wanted to tell Michael the truth. And the crowds were just growing outside. The media, satellite dishes with helicopters are going around. And funny enough, the German media at the time was saying, Michael Jackson shows his new baby. This shows you the different cultures of media. New baby to the world. But the UK and America are, getting child welfare to turn up at the hotel.
But he wasn't just showing it to the world. He was dangling the baby over the balcony, right?
Yeah.
That's not right.
It's not right. I don't justify that. I'm a father of 6 kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to justify it in any ways, Dodge, but what I will say is the picture that's used, if you go and visit that hotel, the picture that's used where he looks like a complete nutcase, this hotel's got a balcony. You got maybe it's like a megastar hotel, and it's got a ledge. So there's no way that baby could have fallen onto the floor, and I think, but I still don't justify it. I'm a dad. I certainly wouldn't put my kid anywhere near a damn balcony. But this was not Michael Jackson. This was a Michael Jackson who was high as a kite on drugs. Medication has been given him to by a doctor 5 minutes before because Martin Bashir wanted some good footage.
Have you seen Martin Bashir since?
I would love to see Martin Bashir.
What would you say to Martin
I'd
Bashir?
thump him in the face.
Good.
I'll do a few nights in the cell. Absolutely.
Yeah.
From what he put my friend. He killed my friend. He lied to us. He was supposed to deliver a VHS tape to Micheal to approve in Miami. And he didn't
as a
turn up.
sign-off?
As a sign-off, yeah. Micheal was going to get to watch it. There's no contracts in place or nothing. But that was the deal. He followed him for 7 months, always in contact. And then on the last day of filming, he sat Micheal down in Miami and he went for him. What about your nose? Why are you white? You know, what about the 93 case? And he was like, whoa, why are you doing this, Martin? This is not you. And he's ringing us up saying, something's wrong with Martin Bashir today. He's in the mood. He's asking me crazy questions. And we didn't think for 1 minute Martin Bashir was going to stitch him up because we believed in the Princess Diana thing.
Yeah.
Now we know that was a stitch up too. Had we known that, Micheal would have knew not to do it. It was Michael's own request. Yuri Geller gets the blame all the time for introducing Martin Bashir. Micheal wanted to go with Bashir. Yeah. Yuri wanted Sir David Frost. But yeah, I called Mike. Me and Yuri watched it together at his house in Sondern-on-Thames. First half an hour was okay. Then it started getting worse and worse. Micheal, it wasn't being broadcast in America until a week later. Micheal was waiting for us to ring him at Miami at the time. We get to the end, we think, wow, what was that? I call Micheal up and he's crying. You already got wind, that was bad. And he said, I can't believe this man has betrayed me. And then he gave him a few hours and he called us back. He said, right, you and Yuri and someone else who was in the room at the time, you witnessed that initial meeting because you don't need a contract to form a contract. It can be verbally. You heard what he pitched me, what he said to me. He wasn't going to film my kids. He filmed on my kids. And the way he's edited it as well. I still remember the lawyer's name. She's called Micheal Boots in London. I want you to go to my attorney lawyer in London and will you give a statement for me? So myself and Yuri Geller and someone else, I won't mention, I haven't got his permission, we gave a witness statement about what happened in that meeting at Renaissance Hotel at Wednesday afternoon. And we tried to get the program stopped to be showed anywhere in the world. It turned out, I can't remember exactly, but Martin Bashir at Neverland put something in front of Micheal, and Micheal's so used to signing things, he just signed it. And bear in mind, he's been following him around for 7 months. He didn't think of anything of it. And it turned out, I think it was a waiver to rights. So there was nothing we could do. Michael Jackson's legal team, Micheal Boots, his lawyer, tried to stop that going out on the basis of our witness statements. We were very confident, but at the final moment, the injunction wasn't allowed, and it went out, and it destroyed him, absolutely destroyed him. Now the other thing too, which is not out, it's out there. People YouTube it, but it don't make big news, positive stuff, does it? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a bit passionate about this, but it's my mate. He died, you know, and it annoys me. He did a documentary, and he's really happy because he realised, oh, hang on a minute, the whole time Martin Bashir was filming, he had his own cameras rolling. So Micheal had his old cameras filming everything for the whole 7 months. So when you hear Martin saying, you're so good with kids, makes me cry when you're at Neverland. What you do for all these sick kids is true. Neverland is incredible. You're such an amazing dad. You've got all that on the footage. So they did a program called Michael Jackson, the footage you were never meant to see. And they released all the footage from the cameraman, and it contradicted everything Martin Bashir said. So he'd say, you think that's right, Micheal? Then seconds later, he'll be saying, oh, you're so amazing. Right. And it goes through. But the trouble is, it only got like 5 million views, and it was on a small broadcast.
What I don't understand here, the biggest face in the world at the time, you're his mate, he's got a team around him, he's worth billions, Why was no one there for him at that time to let Michael Bashir get away with all this? Yeah,
you're right, Dodge. But bear in mind, obviously, I feel some guilt on it, but I was in my early 20s. I used to look at Michael as old. I'm 44 now. He would have been like, when he did that documentary, about 43, I guess.
What would he be today?
65, nearly 66.
Okay.
Yeah, 2024, yeah, he would be. So I didn't feel like I was in the position to be able to say, when I did say something, I would get shut down pretty quick. And the Martin Bashir thing, you are right. There were certain people around who could have stepped in and said, whoa, what's going on here? You know, why are you asking him this for? And he had to do it himself. But by that time, Martin already gained his trust. Michael went for about 10 managers in the time I knew him. Okay. Like one per year. And ones he really trusted, people would just get in his ear and say, oh, you can't trust that guy no more. And he'd be like, really? And that'd be it, cut him out of his life. That's how this allegation came about in 2005. This boy and his family
Isn't there been 5 allegations of young boys come forward saying they've had Michael has played with them?
No.
Is there not 5 separate occasions? Geordie, there's 5.
Oh, you got Wade and James.
Yes.
You want to go down that rabbit hole?
Yeah, I want to find out exactly what's going on there because, listen, I understand you're his tight mate and I understand your passion and stuff.
Yeah.
If there's 5 people coming forward and there's allegations coming out, there must be something there.
So the first one, Geordie Chandler, we cleared up what happened there, and that's on tape. We're going to get this guy because he turned down the movie deal.
So just hold on to that first one. That first lad there, what was he saying happened to him? Because isn't it something like Michael Jackson slept in his bed at his mum's house for 30 days and molested him?
Yeah. I don't know the details of it, but you do know Jordan Chandler's come out since and said it's not true. And his dad shot himself on the back of it.
His old man committed suicide on the back of that?
But it made this much press. Sorry, honestly, if you Google it, you'll see. Jordan Chandler has come out and said, my parents, after Michael died, my parents told me to say that to get money and I feel ashamed of myself. And it made that much press. His dad was so worried, killed himself. Jordan Chandler never had a relationship with his parents ever since he was the payoff.
Right.
He divorced his parents.
How old?
Legally.
How'd you do that?
You can do it. In America,
Divorce
you can do anything.
You can do anything in America.
Yeah.
Go to Vegas, anything sorted
Jordan
out.
Chandler divorced his parents. His dad was so worried that people were going to come after him, or Michael's people were going to come after him after Michael died. He killed himself.
Why would as a parent you allow Michael Jackson to sleep in the same bed as your kid in your house?
Yeah.
Like that's weird. One, it's weird for Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
your mate, going to do that, sleep with a kid in his bed.
Yeah.
Number 2, as a dad, it doesn't even cross your mind. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Why? How?
I never witnessed any of that because that wasn't my era. I was still at school myself. I certainly didn't see him sleep in bed with any children, not even his own children.
Did you see kids at Neverland when you were there? Did you used to keep at Neverland? I take it.
Yeah,
sleep
but it was
over
in
your own
a
room and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever see kids stay over the night there?
No, only in the guest house. But then what they would try and do, they would say to the mummy, daddy, oh, we want to stay with Michael. It's hard to explain, Dodge. Like if you go, we used to go out, went to Universal Studios, and Michael, we lost Prince, his son, just by chance. The fans got all a bit excited, people recognizing him, and only for a few seconds. And then someone in the crowd found Prince and brought them up to us. And Michael wanted to thank the parent personally. He's a nice guy. He said, come here. And he did a picture of them. He said, thank you so much for finding my son, and so on. And he got pushed back by the fans. Now, that lady said, do you mind meeting my children? She said, no, of course you can. Bring them over. When it came to the point of us having to break that away, like 3 hours later, she turned on us. I just found Michael Jackson's kid with me. I deserve to go to Neverland.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to explain.
No.
They were like glued to him.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie Presley used to say, when people were around the house, even she was out of the bed, she couldn't get looking. People just want to be with Michael. You know, it was the thing. And I understand that because I've seen it. Mark's got like 4 kids and one of them a boy. But no, Neverland was built for Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah.
He wanted to give back. So over 10,000 children were bussed in every year to play on the amusement parks, get access. If he was around, he would come and say hi. But that would be as much as it would go. That would be it.
But but looking in, not knowing him, if he was that kind and he's that minted and he's still got a kid's mentality because the way he grew up with the pressures of, well, you will be doing that, you will be singing, you will be doing this to Jackson. That just seems like a hotbed, the perfect scenario for a kiddie fiddler to put a fun fair and animals and all that. And in the house, they've got games and a massive bed in a room and all the kids there and sleeping over. That's just like, looking back, that's like you'd think, how did Jimmy Savile get away with all that? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Looking in, as we are now. And I'm sure you're his mate and you may know different. And I don't know much about Michael Jackson apart from him being a superstar singer. But when I look in, I think, that's like it's teed up. Well,
so I always say, someone moved next door to me.
Yeah.
And they built an amusement park.
Yeah.
And a guy who appeared to live on his own. Remember, he didn't live on his own. He had a girlfriend or wife who he wanted to keep secret. Then I'll be the first person to call the police to say, right, something's going on. But that's just not Michael. You've got to understand Mike. And, you know, his brothers used to explain it really well to me. Because when they grew up, they were in a 2-bed house in Gary, Indiana. And at nighttime, the sisters used to convert the bed into a girl's room in the living room. And then the boys had these like multi-layers of bunk beds where Jermaine would be in bed with Michael and Marlon would be in bed with Tito and Jackie would be on top. And that's just the way he
But that's
knew.
family.
Family.
I get
family.
that. All your brothers, that's family. But there's a different, twist to it.
Most of the time when you're talking about when kids are in his bedroom, his huge size of a mansion bedroom, it's his nieces and nephews. And then you're going to have families and stuff who'll be in there, and their mums and dads will be there at time as well, and maids and stuff coming in and out, feeding them, bringing their drinks. Michael Jackson's not making them tea and coffee every night.
No, I'm sure not.
Getting food for them.
But he slept with kids in his bed. They slept overnight in his bed, while the parents might be staying in the outhouse somewhere.
Not in his bed. He would never sleep in the bed. He would sleep on the floor.
How do you know?
Because I was there at the house. And he said this on camera too, many times.
No, but I'm saying is that it's easy to say if you're in a room, I slept on the floor, the kids were on the bed, everything's fine. It's
Well, the kids would say too, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And this has been, you got to remember, right? This has been, since he's died, it's come out that FBI studied him for 10 years at the highest level, followed him, studied him, how people would pretend to be people. And then you had the trial in 2004, and he was found not guilty on 14 counts by the toughest court in the land. And the other thing, Dodge, too, I don't know if you realise this. So in the 93 case, the same district attorney who wanted to get Michael Jackson thought it was because of racism. Now, there is some truth to that. Yeah. So I've been with the Jacksons in Los Angeles, and they do get swore out. They do get abusive racism words. It's quite shocking to me. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So I can imagine what Michael was experiencing. They didn't want him living there at all. So this district attorney, he's called Tom Sneddon. Tom Sneddon failed to get Michael Jackson 93. That would have been his trophy. He had another chance because in 2003, they changed the law because of the Geordie Chandler case. Yeah. No longer could you just file for money. You have to file a criminal case first, then go for money. So that created a bit of an issue. So the family this time went to Tom Sneddon and said, we think something's been going on with our son Gavin, who's been staying over at Michael's house. And he got all excited about it. I mean, if you watch the press conference... Who
got all excited?
Tom Sneddon, the district attorney.
Okay.
And if you watch the press conference, it's not normal. Normally, they'll tell you, he got up in front of the media, he said, we got him. We finally got him. That's what Tom Sneddon said, you know? And so they got the same legal team as 93, and they got Tom Sneddon, the district attorney, to bring this case against Michael. They raided Neverland, I think with 90 cars. You don't need 90 cars.
I remember seeing it on Sky News.
Yeah. To raid Neverland. And it was just all turned out to be complete and utter nonsense yet again. And finishing up on that subject too, up until, it's called Gavin Avizo, this guy, so Michael got found not guilty on 14 counts. And that was completely...
Did he ever get found guilty on anything?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
No, just being an idiot, being naive.
With that, all the non-guilties, did he pay anyone off?
No.
So there's no payment whatsoever. So he said, you know what, you can have 20 million, you can have 5 million. No, but I'm saying there'll be ways to pay people off. Did he pay any of the families off to not get a not guilty?
No, that was properly done through the hardest court on land, with a district attorney who was just about to retire, wanted to make a name for himself because he looked like a fool in 93 because of the boy wouldn't bring a criminal case. They wanted to get Michael, but they had nothing on him. I mean, Gavin's mum was called Janet Jackson for a start. But Michael went too far. He bought the parents' houses and cars.
Well, that's my point. There we go. So he's buying the parents of these kids houses and cars and slipping them money and da-da-da-da. Is that like...
Yeah, but this is what...
I find it odd looking in, having this conversation about it, because straight away I'm thinking, how old are these kids? 13, 14, 10?
Gavin was like 12, 13, yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah.
And the parents are going, well, give us a free house, happy days. And what was Michael thinking? Why is Michael giving the parents, buying them a house? Why?
But on the other side of that too, I would see him write checks for us to pay for hundreds of funerals for people that couldn't afford to bury their loved ones.
No, I get that.
And pay for operations.
I get that.
And so he did all that too.
Yeah, but I get that.
Yeah.
I get all that because you're looking after the people. But actually, your kid can stay with me. He's 12, but there's a house. So there's a holiday.
The Avizo family were at war. There was a divorce thing going on.
Yeah.
They were without a home. Gavin was saying about the parents might go into local authority home. So Michael felt he could solve that problem for them. Now, what happened, Dodge, is that the accountants at some point said enough's enough. You know, because he was quite well publicised. He wasn't doing very well financially.
Yeah.
He had done tour in ages. They haven't released an album.
What year we're talking here?
This was when the trial was on.
Yeah, 2004, is that?
Yeah, end of 2002, 2003. So Gavin would, I remember one of my mates coming back from Neverland and he said, flipping heck, that family, they brought all their cousins, the Aviso family, Gavin's family. They wrecked the place, all the go-karts, the bumper rides.
So that kid there was the one who was accused
Gavin.
Micheal, but Micheal invited the whole family to Neverland.
Well, the kid was dying.
Okay.
He was dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And he was in a hospital and he wanted to meet famous people. They were all trying to get to Michael Jackson and they had no way of getting to him. Then one day, Chris Tucker, do you remember Chris Tucker, Rush Hour?
Yeah.
Chris Tucker, he wanted to meet Chris Tucker. And Chris Tucker said, I know Michael. Yeah. Let me try him. He got him on the phone and said, Michael, any chance you can meet this kid? He's dying. He ain't got long to live. And they arranged for him to meet him as soon as possible at Neverland. That's how the relationship began. Yeah. And Michael would push him around in his wheelchair, pay for him to have treatment. Yeah. The funeral was organised, everything for this kid. Yeah. No one expected him to survive. But when Michael cut off, and this is probably one of his faults, his phone number used to change every couple of weeks. Yeah. And when Michael cut off on the accountant's advice to stop now, Gavin would, I remember vaguely, Gavin would ring up and he never had Michael's number no more. And messages were being left with us and his personal assistant saying that the computer Michael bought him for his homework isn't working. So we'd say, just take it to so-and-so shop, get it fixed. And Michael said he'll sort out the bill. Yeah. No, I want to speak to Michael. I want to speak to Mike. He got clingy on, and they never spoke ever again. And after that, threats started to come in from the family. We're going to say this. We're going to do this. And then, and then before you know it, bang, this allegation. So we weren't surprised that the Gavin Aviso allegation was going to come out. But out of all the families he met thousands of families, Dodge, per year. But we weren't surprised because of the type of family they were. We knew it was all nonsense. You got to remember, I had to make a tough decision back then because I was at the height of my career. Like 250,000 children training with me in the biggest kids organisation in the world, aligning myself to the most famous man in the world,
being accused
of child molestation.
I agree, yeah.
But so I knew damn well it all was going to be okay.
Were you know damn well in the hope that you don't want to lose your mate, or actually knew damn well he's definitely not like that?
I knew my mate would never commit suicide or nothing. Yeah. But I knew he was never like that. Because remember, my children were around him. I was around him. I always know who's in his room at any given time. Even when I wasn't with him, I knew where he was and how to reach him.
How did he react then when all this was going on?
Devastating.
How did he react? Was he like, when he hears this news coming out again, oh my God, this could ruin my career? Was he more worried about his career, more about his personal profile? What was going on in his head?
He was more worried about his fans. He just loved his children. He just fell to his knees. And do you know the irony of it? He was in Las Vegas making a music video called One More Chance. And news got out that Neverland got raided and he just fell to his knees and started screaming, oh no, not again, please. And then he heard it was Thomas Sneddon, district attorney again. But no, he had to fight this time. This time he had enough. Now I've got the chance. Now they've changed the law and to get my money, they're going to have to win this case. So I'm going to fight this one. And they had nothing on him at all. Not a thing. Should never have gone to court in the first place.
What did they think they had on him?
Using alcohol to get them drunk and abuse them. I'll tell you, there was literally nothing. I mean, it was just a laughing stock. When they put the mum on the stand, the question being was, you knew this was all going on, but you still letting your child go in to stay at Michael Jackson's house. Yeah.
That's odd as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they knew about the girlfriends and the women too. They did have a leg to stand. I was just the jury. They just threw him out. I think it was 100% of the jury agreed with the verdict. But it ruined Mike. It completely ruined him. And then we had it again, which we won't dodge the subject. Documentary came out, Leaving Neverland, in 2000 and I believe it's 18. Yeah. And that came out of the blue. Now, Wade is the same age as me. I've met Wade, so I know of him. Michael made his career, literally. And James, I don't know James, but again, he's similar age to me. James did the Pepsi commercial advert and so forth. Now, Wade was the star witness along with Macaulay Culkin in 2004. Yeah. So when Tom Mesereau, the barrister, decided who to put first, he put Wade Robson on first because Wade had been known him since he was 5 years old and stayed at Neverland multiple times and had his family give testimonies as well. And it was incredible. I mean, Wade just knocked it out of the park.
So who was Wade in this whole?
So Wade's a dancer, choreographer. When Michael was on tour in Australia, he would invite some of the the adults and kids onto stage to do the last number with him. It was like a dream come true. And there was a competition to meet Michael Jackson, and Wade won it. And funny enough, I think the second person was my mate Peter Andre.
Was
just by chance? Yeah.
Was he? Okay.
Honestly, yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. Peter Andre was second runner-up. He's off from Australia. And Wade won it. And he got on stage, and Michael felt he was very talented, encouraged his career. They were nagging Michael all the time to come to Neverland and come to America, and he would make it happen. And he built himself a very successful dancing career.
How old was Wade at the time when Michael invited him to Neverland?
Oh, like 5, 6. Yeah. Extremely young. Extremely. And not just Wade, his sisters and everyone else too.
Yeah.
Yeah. His family, his mum. Yeah, all of them. So the interesting thing here, so he was the star witness, and Macaulay Culkin, obviously, same age to me as well. Right.
Macaulay Culkin, the guy from the Home Alone.
Home Alone,
videos.
Yeah. And then Michael, let's zoom forward a little bit. So trial's over, done with. Then we get messages that Wade...
The trial was what?
So Michael gets found not guilty
of
child molestation.
Of Wade.
No. There was never. The Wade was defending Michael.
Okay.
Yeah,
in the 2018. Okay.
Wade and James were defending Michael Jackson. Yeah. And anyway, trial's over. Michael goes to Bahrain, found not guilty, get on with his life, start rebuilding his career. And we stay in contact. We went and visited me and Mark Lester in Bahrain. I hung out with him. He was doing great, ready to come back with a vengeance for the O2 gigs. Then we get a message, right? Which it didn't mean nothing back then. It's fine, but now it means a lot. Wade wanted to ask permission to Michael. Could he get married at Neverland? Okay. Now this was 2007.
Yeah.
So Michael died in 2009, something like that. 2006, 2007. So we asked Michael. Michael said, I've not been there for a while. It's not up to standards like it should be. Once it's back up to standards, because he's not been back there since the raid took place. He felt it wasn't a home for him anymore. Didn't want to go back. So it wouldn't look the part. So we just kindly declined it for now. And Wade was pretty persistent that I want to marry my fiance at Neverland because for what it all means to me. And you think about it, right, Dodge? In 2012, he came out with these allegations that he was abused at Neverland. Who the hell would want to get married at a place you get sexually abused at? And then what happened? It's all out there in the mainstream media.
So basically what you're saying is he wanted to get married there, but after Michael died in 2009, in 2012, you're saying he then made allegations against Michael.
Exactly, him and James.
Why?
Well, I asked the lawyers this. I said to him, how can he go on oath and defend him on those 14 counts of Gavin Avisa and James Safechuck and now say I was abused too, or everything I said back then was a lie? And apparently in Los Angeles, there's like a 7-year statute of limitations. Like if you get past that, they can't come at you.
Yeah.
So he had to wait. He also performed at the tribute with Janet Jackson 2 weeks after Michael's death. And he did a big tribute in the book to him as well. Went to the funeral and so forth. He danced there in tribute to him. Then he tried through Michael Jackson's estate to get in the Las Vegas show to be the main choreographer. He said, Michael would want me to do this. No one can do it better than me. Michael's taught me all the dance moves, and the estate didn't want to use him. They just had someone else in mind. And he was angry about that because without Michael, there was no money coming in and so forth. These 2012, it comes out. Then the program comes out. It's 4 hours long. If it takes 4 hours for you to get convinced that Michael Jackson's a child molester, then there's something seriously wrong. What they failed to mention in that documentary is both those guys in their mid-40s were suing the Michael Jackson estate for hundreds of millions of dollars. That wasn't mentioned. If that had been mentioned, I think people would have flicked the channel.
Yeah.
Well, I said nonsense.
Yeah.
Or if it had been mentioned, they were the star witnesses in the cases back in 2005. They would have flicked the channel over. And then what turned out is the fans are amazing, Michael's fans. They got on it, and some private investigators got on it too. So James Safechuck accused Michael Jackson of sexually abusing him at the Neverland train station. He was very specific about that, inside the Neverland train station.
And how old would he have been then?
I'll tell you this, right? I'll clear this up. So he was saying he was a young boy, 12, 13. Anyway, they dug out there was an issue. Elizabeth Taylor got married at Neverland to one of her many husbands. I can't remember which one it was. And there's an aerial shot. And it's shown Neverland, and there was no train station there. And that got an investigative journalist a bit suspicious, thinking, hang on a second. And he dug out the planning file. It turns out the train station wouldn't have been built until James Safechuck was about 27, 28. So you couldn't have been molested in a place that didn't exist. It wasn't even there. It wasn't even thought of. The planning application wasn't even in. Elizabeth Taylor shot shows you her marriage. There's no argument about that. There is no train station. And they've, what I believe now is down from 4 hours down to next to nothing. And there's been rebuttals made on that, ripping it apart, timelines and so forth. And they lost their appeal. The judge threw them out. And I think they're trying again now. They're both going after them again.
Well, after Michael Jackson's estate, even though he's brown bread.
Yeah, they appealed the decision that they lost their case. And now some kind of change in law means that they can go again. So they're suing all the companies around Michael Jackson's estate. Oh, it's a multi-billion estate now. Yeah. He died 500 million in debt. Now he's worth billions in debt. Yeah. So
he died with 500 million in debt. Yeah. But now he's worth billions.
Now he's worth billions.
And
they just sold 50% of his music stake for $1.2 billion, I believe. It's been announced.
And where does that money go? Who sat with that money? The kids?
The children, yeah. Prince Paris and Biggie, yeah.
And where are Prince Paris and Biggie living these days?
They have their own homes, their own security detail, and they're doing just well.
Where were they? In Europe? Are they in America? Or?
They're in the States.
In the States.
Yeah, they're doing well.
So Michael died in 2009. So if we go on for all these court cases and child molestation, he must have been in a real poor place because as we saw him before 2009, before he passed, he looked frail. He looked about 6 stone. He looked like skeletal. You know, it was how have you seen his decline since the sort of 2005 up to 2009?
Yeah, Michael was never the same, man. I tell you, when he called me and he said, I'm going to go back on tour, I said, okay, but it's this time I'm going to do it differently. I want to beat Prince's record. So Prince was resident at the O2 Arena for 21 nights in a row, and he got in the Guinness Book of Records. Michael loves his Guinness Book of Records. You know, he's the person who's donated the most charity. It's not promoted to Guinness Book of Records. So he's like, I want to beat Prince. I want to see if I can do it. And they're offering him this deal. He couldn't tell. He needed the money. He said, my children are young enough still and old enough still to appreciate what their daddy does. They've not seen him perform before. So he told us he's going to be at the O2 Arena, and would my family move him with his family, and with Mark Lester's family, because Mark Lester's godparents to all Mark's kids, and Mark's godparents to Michael's, and Mike is also godparents to mine. It's all a bit, we trust each other.
Basically. Yeah, I get it, yeah.
So he didn't want, this time around, Michael didn't want to have the children stuck in a Dorchester hotel, the Lanesborough hotel suite, not for like 6 or 7 months where they can't go out. Yeah. So we had a house, it's public knowledge now, just outside of Surrey. He picked it, we did it by Skype. He furnished it how he wanted it. And we're going to get a boat on the River Thames so we could avoid all the paparazzi and come in the back of the O2 Arena each night. And the plan was to do one show one night, day off, show the next. So all planned, calls me out. So I got the name. It's called This Is It. So all right. And I called Uri Geller. I remember calling him. I said, Michael's going to be at the O2. He's got a show called This Is It. Yeah, this will be it. So there's no way he's going to do a residency. I
think everyone thought that when we saw him on telly with warming up and stuff. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to nail that.
Yeah. And then what happened then is that March 2009, he stayed at the Lanesborough. Mark Lester lived with him at the time there at the hotel. I got my own kids, Dodge. I've got a multi-million-pound business to run, so I can't be. By this point, I've left the Bodyguard era in 2004. Yeah. He had the Nation of Islam protect him. He's got his own team. I used to advise from a distance, but I was his mate on the phone if he needed me. I'll go and see him when he was in town or wherever he'd be in the world and stay in phone contact with him. Or go and see him with Mark Lester. So he was in London. I went to see him initially because I got a phone call. I was in Barnstable saying, you need to come to the Lanesborough now. There's something wrong with Michael. And this was the day he was going to announce the O2 concerts. And I get there and I go up the lift and I get to his hotel suite, and a representation from the entertainment company, he said, you need to go and sort your effing famous friend out. And I said, which one? Mark Lester or Michael Jackson? And I said, no, the really famous one. And I go in there and Michael's laid on his bed like this, and he had half a bottle of whiskey. And Mark was there trying to sober him up with water, and he was nervous, you know. So he was due on the O2 Arena. It was like 2.5, 3 hours late already. So we're pouring water down his neck, and he come around, and he was so scared what the public opinion was going to be about him.
Yeah.
Was he going to sell any tickets after that damn trial?
Yeah.
Or was he going to get shot, assassinated? So we had to get him on this coach. We got him on the coach. We get there, and he gets on stage. I mean, he was still a bit intoxicated, and he saw the roar of the crowd, and he became MJ again. You know, he came out. We get back on a bus. He falls asleep. We get to the hotel. He's nervous. I said, "Well, you okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, how's it going?" So, Michael, they've all sold out. They're gone. On the way home, they've sold out in 2 minutes. All 10 shows are sold out. AEG want to talk to you about putting another 40 on. And tears are rolling down his eyes. Couldn't believe it. Like, wow, they've really gone, Matt? So yeah, minutes. Wow. And then the AEG, they had a meeting with him and he came out and said, I'm going to do 50 shows. I'm going to beat Prince. So he said, and then they put him on sale, a few minutes, all gone. AEG told me they could have sold 300 shows.
Yeah.
So the demand was unbelievable.
Sure.
He was crying and sobbing. He couldn't believe it. I went home at that point and I said to him, you got to put some weight on, man.
What size was he? How tall was he? How frail was he when you, what was he?
He's taller than you think. I think he was like 5'11", 5'10", I remember.
Yeah, okay.
He used to hunch over a lot. People always think he's little Mike because of Jackson 5, but he's actually quite a tall guy. Frail, at that time, I was concerned about his health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave him a hug before I went home and he was like a bag of bones.
Yeah.
So I went back and then luckily on the Thursday, he was due to fly out on the Friday morning. On a Thursday, Mark Lester calls me, the Oliver Twist guy, his best mate.
Yeah. He
said, Matt, we've got nothing to do tonight. Me and Michael are going to watch Oliver. It was actually on the West End at the time, the play. And because he's there, Oliver Twist, it's a big deal, you know. So do you want to come to watch Oliver with us? And then come back, have some food at the hotel suite. From Barnstable to London, it's a couple-hour train ride. I said to him, look, I'll skip Oliver Twist. That's not my thing. Yeah. No disrespect, Mark. That's your thing. And Michael being mobbed, you know. Yeah. Let me settle my kids down a bit, spend some time with them. I've got a few things to do in my business and I'll come up. And I go to Lanesborough. I'm so glad I did. And I get there. Michael's favourite meal is fish and chips, like proper English style.
Go on, Michael.
Yeah. So we get in the car and we go to Knightsbridge. We went to a fish and chip shop, and he likes to go in. He likes to see the way it's all wrapped, and sometimes they recognise him with a sign it. And then we go back and we sit on the floor. We sat on the floor at the Lanesborough Hotel. Me and Mark, just after they come back from watching Oliver, we had fish and chips, and it was quite freaky. It's one of the last face-to-face conversations we had. He said, Matt, am I going to be okay? I said, you're going to be fine. So you need to put some weight on. We're going to do your diet and nutrition plan. We're going to get you weight training. We actually introduced him to Louis Theroux, who trained with Arnold, to try and put some muscle. That didn't go very well. Louis said it's like he wanted a friend to confide in, to talk the whole time. But you'll be okay. We're all going to move in with you, Michael, to make sure you sleep, you eat, and we look after. We keep the media away. Don't worry. He said, I'm worried I'm going to be killed by a shot. And
so he was paranoid that he was going to get shot?
Yeah, massively. Wow. Because in America, it's guns. In the UK, the guns are took off you. So we're bodyguards without guns. It's very strange. In the States, they got guns. You know?
Are you not allowed to carry?
No, they get left at the airport.
Is that right?
Only royalty.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, when you're in trouble over in London, you get 2 panda cars with 2 cops turn up, pushing everyone back. In the States, it's like armed turn. Get back. We used to find that fascinating. So is that all they sent me? There's a little panda car and 2 overweight cops. So in America, it's very different. Yeah, so I'd be chatting away, and then he turned to Mark Lester and said, you're my children's godfather. Anything happens to me on stage, you promise me you look after my kids. And he said, of course I will. And the ironic thing, he was killed by a shot in the end, but it was a shot of anaesthetic, wasn't it?
Who killed Michael Jackson?
Well, there's a lot of debate about it, isn't there? But the guy who got done for it is Dr. Conrad Murray. He did 2 years in jail for involuntary manslaughter. I got messages from Dr. Murray when he come out of jail. And
have you seen Dr. Murray? Yeah. You've seen him face to face?
Not since, no.
No,
I spoke to him on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the same. So we have the same agent in Australia. So I do my media work. He does his stuff. So it's still to this day, he believes he's done nothing wrong. So Dr. Murray was just like the kids had flu in Vegas. And one of the other bodyguards, we can't just rock up with Michael Jackson's children at surgery. Don't work, GP surgery, don't work out very well. No. So one of the other bodyguards, the Americans, knew of a doctor who we could trust. That turned out to be Conrad Murray. And they became friends over a couple of years. So I knew of him, but not to this extent. So he reached out to me. He gave an interview to the Sun newspaper, and he said in Michael's final days, all he was crying out for was Matt Fiddes and Mark Lester to come and visit him, because he was lonely. He had no one there. His family were cut off. Numbers were changed. He didn't even know where he was staying or nothing. The whole promotion company was running his life for him. It's very hard to get to Michael.
And he was on copious amounts of drugs as well.
Turns out he was, yeah. Crazy amount of drugs. That was to make him sleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you have an operation, you knock you out with propofol. And so we didn't think anything of it. We didn't know. We were getting messages from the States all the time saying, Michael's not turned up to rehearsals, but that's just Mike. You know, he just used to say, I've been doing this since I was 5. I don't need to be moonwalking all the time. And I know my songs. I wrote those songs. But they were quite tough on him. But on the Tuesday night before he died, he called me, and he was erratic, like completely erratic, just like he was in that hotel in Berlin that time. And I said to him, Mike, have you taken something? He said, don't worry, the doctor gave me something. They said they're going to pull the show. So he's given me ephedrine, which is what dancers would take. A lot of bodybuilders take it. It's like a step up from caffeine. And it was the fact that he said a doctor gave it to him and he was about to go and rehearse, I felt it was okay. But then he asked me, do I know where Joseph is? And that was strange, because it's very well known that him and Joseph Jackson, his father, didn't have a very close relationship. So I didn't know where he was. He was in Las Vegas. So I gave Michael his father's, used to call him Joseph's number. Then he wanted Mark's number. He clearly didn't have much numbers available to him. And then he spoke to my daughter Madison for a bit. He tried to speak to Lola, but she was very young. He struggled with that. And I said, you okay? Because I need someone to come and sort this shit out over here. The only person who can sort this out is Joseph. I said, okay, Mike. And you promised me you're going to be all right. Because I'm going to rehearsals. They're making me go. They say if I don't perform well tonight, they're going to pull the plug on the whole thing. And apparently that night he did the performance of a lifetime. Unbelievable. You could tell he was high as a kite if you knew him, with his speech and slurring and so on. Anyway, he did call Joseph up. Unfortunately, he got the answer phone message. He did call Mark Lester. He had the same conversation with Mark he had with me. He said, I couldn't leave my 3 kids and just abandon my business to come with him to Los Angeles. Plus, I was worried I wouldn't be able to get past these new bodyguards who represent a music company. And Mark was a single dad. He had 4 kids. He couldn't just leave everything and go. So we were like, of course, you're going to be all right, Mike. We'll see you next week in London. It's all set up. Don't worry. So I came off the phone. I felt fine. I said to my rehearsal wife at the time, I said, he's nervous. He'll be okay. I just thought, Dodge, he will do 1-2 shows and that'll be it.
Cool.
Because he just had a massive medical done and a big insurance on him. That's what I thought he would do. So did Mark as well. We didn't think he was that dangerous. If we thought he was going to die a few days later, then we would have been on the next plane. You know, but yeah. And the family were getting noise that things were not good at the house too. So all the staff had been changed, all been gone. That was the Tuesday night. And on the Thursday evening, I just come back from work at my office. I sit down, Madison sitting on my lap, and then Uri Geller calls me. And he says, Matt, I've got every American network pestering me saying that Michael's in a coma. So no. I spoke to him 2 days ago. He's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. And then he goes, okay. He said, don't worry. You know what Michael's like? He's a publicity stunt. He's doing those too. He's trying to create the fuzzle duzzle, because he calls it. And then about an hour later, Uri calls me again. He said, Matt, I've got Fox News on one line, CNN the other. Sky News waiting for the house. I'm just arriving at my house. My landline's ringing off the hook. Are you sure? And I just felt I couldn't ring Michael Jackson again because of all the stunts he's done, like plasters over his face when he cut himself shaving, just to make sure he gets the PR. And I can't ring him again when he tells me, you forward for my trap, Matt. It's my media stunt. Yeah. And then as I'm on the phone to Uri, Mark Lester rings me up. And I said, I'll ring you back. Mark's calling. And when Mark called, my heart went. I thought, geez, because Mark is a different angle. He speaks to the nanny of the kids. Yeah. He's godfather to the children. So he said, where are you, Matt? So I'm at home. He said, I said, it's not good, is it? He goes, no, Michael's dead. I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. He said, no one's going to say it for some time because it's a big thing. And if they get it wrong, but I just spoke to Grace, Michael's nanny. She was screaming down the phone, Michael's dead. He passed away a few hours ago. And we didn't know anything else other than that. And I was like staring at the screen. And I got my ex-wife off the phone and said, listen, I think I'm going to be busy the next few days. And It went from nothing to all the programs being interrupted at Michael Jackson in a coma. Then I had some of Michael's family ringing me saying, "Are you with my brother?" I said, no. I already knew he was dead.
Yeah.
I had to, pass them on. I said, maybe you should ring your mum. And so I'm not with your brother. No, I'm in the UK. And then a couple of hours later, it switched from. Now we had now heard from Los Angeles Times from the coroner that Michael Jackson's dead. Yeah, and that was that. Yeah, just like that, just bang,
Jeez.
gone.
Do you know when you look at it, like 2004, the cases and stuff? Did you see his drug intake increase to 2009?
No, because when he went to Bahrain, Dodge, Jermaine organised him Jermaine's part of that network. On Bahrain, you can't get your hands on that medication or even alcohol or nothing because of religious beliefs and so on. So when we visited him in Bahrain, he was fine. Not taking a pill or nothing, not even an aspirin.
And what year were you in Bahrain?
That was like just after the trial, 2006. Then he went to Southern Ireland.
Do you think it affected him? Everything going on with all these court cases, child molestation, do you think that affected him, the way he actually ended up?
Devastated him. He was never the same guy.
Because he loved his fans so much, and obviously he's...
Yeah,
okay.
He felt he let down his fans, the public. And do you know, the first time too, I remember when we were out with him, we would never hear anyone shout abuse, but we'd hear people shout paedophile, and he would hear it.
Yeah.
I know he would hear it. He wouldn't say nothing to us. He was just a few tears in his eyes and stuff like that. But no, he was clean when he was out there. Then he came to Southern Ireland to do Thriller 25, when he recorded with Will.i.am and Akon, and he was fine there.
Yeah. We
visited him there. He was no issue. Then he went back to Las Vegas, and that's when he got back on the medication. It was hard because he never saw it as drugs. He saw it as medication because a doctor gave it to him.
If you ever went against him for anything, would he bite you, put you down? So you had to do what he said, otherwise you're out.
Yeah, and that happened.
Because if you're going through all these different managers, it seems like whatever Michael says goes.
Yeah.
Could you not ever say, hold on a minute, Michael, look at the state of you. Or do you think, what, I've tried it once and it didn't work, so I've got to stay away.
Everyone I saw who stood up to Michael and said, stop what you're doing. Yeah. Don't do that. You're going to kill yourself. Gone.
Out, okay.
Yeah.
So he was on
Uri Geller went for him.
Self-destruction.
Yeah, Uri Geller went for him. Yuri's been on camera on GMTV and told about how me and him, we found Michael one morning, barely breathing. And we shook him awake. And Uri said, you carry on like this, you're going to kill yourself. The world needs you. We don't need a dead Michael Jackson. You're going to end up like Elvis Presley. But then he'll shout back and say, don't tell me about Elvis Presley. I was married to Elvis's daughter. I know exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I mean, Uri Geller got shut out of his life for raising his voice to him. I saw that happen.
Say that again. Uri Geller got pushed out.
He got closed out, yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, and then towards the end, Michael was always very curious.
For what reason?
Raising his voice, telling him what he didn't want to hear. Wow. Pushing the doctors away.
Yeah, okay.
Uri would sleep next to his bed to stop the doctors coming in at night, and the doctors hated it. Yeah, Uri didn't care. Yuri's a self-made man. He couldn't care less about upsetting Michael. I remember I was young, man. I was like in my 25, 26. Yeah. I didn't feel like I had the right to do that. I did it once. I said to him, you need to, because I was a bit annoyed because we're letting a lot of people down for meetings. And you need to stop. I'm getting the blame for this. And he's like, if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for me, you'll be nothing. You're just a karate guy. He went for me. Really? But he was under the influence. I knew it wasn't. And he gave me a hug later on that
Was
night.
he ever using recreational drugs?
Never.
No cocaine,
if I touched, this is the ironic thing, right? I never had my first alcoholic drink until I was 27 because of my divorce. If I was seen to be in the wrong crowd, taking any type of drug or drinking alcohol, I was out. Yeah. He was very firm on me. No nightclubs, none of this, none of that. How he died of a drug overdose is unbelievable because he was tough on all of us.
So we look at Michael. Obviously, we're talking about the whole case and everything like that. Actually, what was Michael Jackson like before everything going on here? All the mad stuff here. What was he like on tour? What was he like around the house? What sort of character was he?
He's just the biggest prankster on earth. He was amazing at the martial arts. Incredible. His kick. Even Will Smith would say he should be able to kick and in your head and spinning kicks, and he put that all in his dancing. He used to read 3 to 5 non-fiction books per week. He would study the greats. He loved Tony Robbins. I think Tony does mention him in his personal power program. He believed that you studied the greats, and that's how you get where you are. So if you say to him you're lucky or you're talented, he would hate that.
Yeah.
because he said, "Oh no, I've studied James Brown, Fred Astaire, Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
I've took the best from everyone. I've created the Michael Jackson." He created the mystery. So when we walked down the corridors to the public, he would say, "Okay, guys, remember, those fans, be nice to them. They put me where I am. If it weren't for them, there'd be no Michael Jackson. If it weren't for those paparazzi, there'd be no Michael Jackson."
Okay.
I remember, I want my life to be the greatest show on earth, he used to say. Yeah, what's behind the mask and so forth. So he would go to great efforts to give this mystery alive. And it backfired on him.
Yeah.
It backfired on him in the end. You know? But do you know what, Dodge, right? I've spoke to his close friends, and it was very hard when I'm looking back, thinking that how could my mate live to a long age? One of his friends said to me, Michael Jackson was trying to live long and wide.
Yeah.
That ain't going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's his photographer who's been with him all his life.
And he died at the age of 50, didn't he, Michael?
Died at 50, yeah. So Michael was never going to live a long life. He's trying to live long and wide, taking these crazy risks. And yeah.
Have you been out to America to his graveyard?
I've not been to, you're on about Forest Lawn, where he is. No, I've not been there. I find it hard to, with that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't even, I mean, I have traumatic stuff. It all happened at once, Dodge, for me. I got divorced in 2009. My wife divorced me because I was so career obsessed and making money. And
did she find that Michael was becoming for her?
Yeah. She used to say to Madison,
"You're married to Michael.
If I want a new bracelet or something, I should ask Michael if it's okay for you to spend your money on me." Yeah. Or she used to say to Madison, "Go and tell Daddy you want a bracelet this size." Yeah. We're good friends. Me and Marcy, we get on great now. But yeah, she felt Michael was, used to be a bit much.
Have you had complete closure of losing your mate?
No, not at all. Can you? Everywhere I go, music's playing. Every day someone wants to talk about him. I get some media requests. I get some stupid story written about me and him every day. But then again, it's also a door opener. It's exactly everything he warned me of when I was hanging around with him. You be friends with me, your life will never be the same again.
Yeah. What a line that is. And that's right, isn't it?
I remember when he said it. We were in the corridor at Uri Geller's house just before I left. Said, "You're going to be my friend?" Just like a child would ask. "Will you be my friend?" I said, "Yeah, of course I will, Mike." And I asked for his number. I said, "Can I have your number?" And he said, "I don't have a phone. Can I take your number?" I thought, I'm never going to hear from this guy.
Yeah.
And, and he calls me 2 weeks later. But yeah, he said, "If you be my friend, your life will never be the same again." It's tough to be friends with Michael Jackson.
You were a really good friend to him. Fair play.
Yeah, and even in death, I got his back. And it's quite hard when everyone thinks he's a paedophile and stuff.
I know.
But there's a biopic coming out next year. This could be the biggest movie of all time. And his nephew, Jafar's playing him. And this will blow it all away. Yeah. This will be the end of all the nonsense. And do you know what, Dodge? We've gone on to see, I see my mate, Michael was the first Me Too candidate. You've seen so many people attack trial by media now, haven't you? Yeah. You can run them off. We don't know what's true, do we? Russell Brand lately, wasn't it? Yeah. What's going on with Andrew Tate? Yeah. Some parallels there, isn't there? Yeah. He's accused of young girls because he's out there with his opinions. One of the most famous men in the world. Michael's accused of young boys. There's the Russell Brand. There was no evidence there. It was just a program put together, a hit piece. Yeah. You can run off the names now, can't you? It can ruin his
career overnight.
TV presenters. I mean, the Philip Schofield. Yeah. For a few months, everyone hated him. Now everyone loves him. I bet you'd have him on your podcast, wouldn't you?
Oh, Philip Schofield.
Yeah. Okay, I'll change the subject.
No.
Well, I know now, behind the scenes, there are multi-million deals being offered to Philip to come back on TV.
I'm sure there are.
Because they got it wrong.
And I don't know whether it's the truth or not the truth or whatever. And I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But...
yeah.
And I don't know who to believe.
And I see
the press say this, and I see the press say this, and I don't watch the news and stuff. But when something's so big about Michael going on there, I think, is he? I hope not, because what, he's going to ruin his leg. And the kids and the families. I find it all quite weird, the whole thing.
It's such a busy life too. I used to think to myself, how do people think he even had time to do any of this stuff? Because the guy would dance 3 hours a day, always in the studio, fall asleep in the studio.
But why is he like that? Tell me why you think he's like that. Why would you want to be, as an adult, I don't want to be hanging around with 12-year-old boys.
Because they don't sue him, they don't screw him over.
Yeah, but I don't want to be seen hanging around 12-year-old kids and coming into my bedroom doing keepy uppies or whatever he was doing. I don't know what he was doing, playing video games or whatever. That's just not right on all levels. Yeah. And that's the bit that I find hard to understand.
And he couldn't ever get that because he said, that's not me.
You must have, right? You must have sat there and thought, this is odd. I'm a lad from Swindon. I'm here in Never Ranch, and this kid's going into his bedroom. You must. What did you think?
No, because it was his nephews and nieces.
No, but nephews. But obviously, there's other kids going in there and stuff. You must have thought this is a bit weird, but maybe I don't want to say anything because it's Micheal.
No, because I knew who Micheal was and what he is as a person.
Yeah.
And I knew his brother as well too, and his mum, and I understand where he's.
But there was not inkling as a dad. There was not one bit of inkling. You go,
because my kids have been around.
Yeah.
And Mark's kids have grew up with his kids,
Mm.
and why aren't they abusing his own kids? And all the way things have unfolded too, the civil lawsuits, and there'll be more cases, Dodge. There won't just
There'll be more
two.
coming out. Do you know what I find odd to the whole thing is that they've come out since he's died.
Yeah,
that's
he can't defend
weird,
himself,
isn't it? He can't defend poor. He's under the ground, poor.
And I see it so much now, ever since he died, that the mainstream media attack on someone and bring you down, and it turns out to be no nonsense. You get sucked in it.
Yeah.
Dear me, what's that about?
Yeah. Sitting here, I don't know who's right, who's wrong. It's quite an odd and sad ending, really. But let's not go to the sad ending. I want to, Michael Jackson. If you get everything going on there, what an absolute legend of a human being. Give us some of the most amazing parts of his life that you remember. What he's done and the tours and the sales and the amount of money he's given to charity and the amount of money he's raised for charities around the world.
Yeah, so he used to, whenever we get to any city, he used to make sure, he was fascinated, I think it's gone now, but we used to call it Cardboard City in London.
Yeah.
He would always want to visit there, and we would advise him against it, but he would get out on his own. We'd have to stay in the car, and he wouldn't give them money because he wanted to spend on drugs and stuff. He'd give them pizza and stuff like that. Paying for kids' operations.
Yeah.
He'd just turn up at random people's houses, and he'd heard they'd be suffering, hiding behind the door, and we're giving food hampers out to families who are struggling and breaking down who's this from, and they got no idea who it is, and he doesn't want to know. Finding creative ways to get paying for funerals. That was a big thing for him. He would find out kids would be struck down by cancer, and he didn't ever want to know that it was Michael Jackson who paid for the funeral. So they'd have this incredible funeral paid for. We'd have to find ways of
getting in there,
getting that money to the family. And
what about his record sales?
His record sales?
Yeah, like his record sales, worldwide record sales were ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
For years. How long was he at the top of his game?
He still is. It's the biggest selling album of all time, Thriller. It's still now.
It's still the biggest selling album?
Yeah, and I believe the second is Bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair play.
The guy was a genius. I mean, I used to like.
He was a genius. Did he ever teach you how to moonwalk?
He never kept his promise. He taught me the wrong way how to do it.
Can you do the moonwalk?
I kind of picked up a little bit since he's died, but Dan, I'll stick to the martial arts. He was incredible martial arts. That guy could have turned his hand to anything. He's just super intelligent. It's one thing, Dodge, right? I like to get across. You don't become the most famous man in the world in Guinness Book of Records. That's one of the last awards he got, actually, in 2006 at Earl's Court. The most famous man in the world. A billionaire, multi-billionaire. Head of your game, staying relevant for all those years if you're not some clever man. People think he's like this clown with the makeup, with the red lipstick.
He's shrewd behind it all.
He's a clever dude.
You can see that.
Yeah, two sides to him. You've got Catherine Jackson, who's very, very calm and loving. And you have Joseph Jackson, who's a ruthless businessman. And I see that guy put the specs on. He'd be like, we're doing this, that deal. I'm not paying for that hotel. Make sure they know I'm coming.
Yeah.
They can have a shot of me coming out, but I'm not paying for that suite for the next 10 days because they're getting all the publicity. That guy was he taught me how to franchise.
Yeah.
I had those 5 little schools in North Devon. He said to me, I want to expand. You can't. I said, I can't expand. The next town's 40 miles away. He said, of course you can. It's franchise. And he wrote down, build a brand. Now I've got the biggest martial arts brand in the world because he taught me how to do it. Yeah. Set goals and achieve them. And
Matt, I've really, really enjoyed this episode.
A bit different than your average. Other than that, my life's been normal.
No, I was just about to say, Jesus, that's a proper whirlwind that's what you call an eventful life.
Yeah.
A lad from
Still
Swindon.
is now, even though he's dead. Nothing changed. Everyone wants to know you because you're Michael's friend. And, and I've got my own career that's gone on and blossomed. But I was just a buddy boy from Swindon.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
I'm just a martial artist at the end of the day. Who just,
So where can people find you, Matt?
Best place to get me on social media at official Matt Fiddes on Instagram. DM me. I don't use VAs and stuff, and people want to reach out to me, help with entrepreneurship or investing, or if they have mental health struggling, I get back to everyone personally. So Instagram or Facebook or official Matt Fiddes, or then go to my website www.mf.club. Go there, and if I can help anyone.
If there's one last word you'd like to say, what would they be to Micheal if he's around now?
That's a good question, isn't it? I say I'm sorry that I didn't barge my way in. I would have died for that guy. He asked me once, will I take a bullet for him? I would have done. When I started having kids, he kind of positioned me differently from the front. Yeah, sorry, I didn't try harder. I should have gone that plane that Tuesday night. Yeah. And I would have got to him maybe, but I could have had a damn good try. Along with Joseph Jackson, we would have barged our way in. Yeah.
Good for you, Matt. I've really enjoyed it, mate. I really appreciate you coming all that way and coming down and telling your story.
You're welcome. Been a pleasure.
Yeah, you're a gentleman.
Thank you, sir.
Good man, Matt.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Can you do us a favour and subscribe to the channel? It's totally free and it massively helps our show. Cheers guys.